friends, this is Malia from our Ben Franklin Mapunapuna store, and today I am going to be showing you our tricolor double ribbon lei. So I'm going to hold this up a little bit so you can see the detail. We've noticed that just for fun, but also because a lot of schools are now showing that they have 3 school colors, we thought we would offer you our very popular traditional double ribbon lei, but in a way to do it with 3 colors instead of just 2. So what you're going to need to make this lei is 3/8 inch satin ribbon. So you can see I have it in red, white, and black. Now 3/8 is the most common ribbon that people know in this kind of lei. However, today when I am weaving, I am going to be using a 5/8 ribbon just so that you can see it a little bit better. So you can already see here the difference in ribbon size. This is the 3/8, this is the 5/8. So what this tells you as well is you can make a lei in any size of ribbon. Yeah, any size. It's just that for the body, most people will be making this in a 3/8 satin ribbon. So what you need, materials, will be your satin ribbon in 3 colors. If you imagine one of your colors, just like in this lei, is going to be your border color. So that will be your dominant color. For this one, I'm doing black, red, and white. So my black ribbon is what is going to be on my outside, and then I've picked 2 other colors, red and white. So I'm going to move this out of the way so you can focus on the weaving. Now the first thing you're going to do is pair up your ribbons. Each of your ribbons, if you're making a lei for a standard size adult, a standard size graduate, I would say start at minimum 5 yards. Truly though, you're probably going to want 6 to 7 yards of each color. So that's 6 to 7 yards of your first color, 6 to 7 of your border, and notice that there are 2 of my border colors. So I'm going to need 2 lengths. Yeah, 6 to 7 of my black, 6 to 7 of my white, and this is my first pair, 6 to 7 of my red, and 6 to 7 of my second border color, my black again. And you can see I divided them up. I have them satin side up, just so I can see them. These are my 2 pairs. Now I'm going to prepare my ribbons to start. Oh, I'm going to keep a 6 to 12 inch length at the end. I like to keep this long. Think about it as the part of the lei that you are going to be using to tie your bow, or at least tie it securely at the end. So you do want to have some length there. So the first thing you're going to do is find your 12-inch tail, and you're going to make a slip knot. I'm just making a loop and then tucking through that loop to make my slip knot. And just a reminder, slip knot of course is a loose knot that can be moved or tightened. So I can make my loop larger. I can also pull on one of these ribbon lengths to make it smaller. So on this pair, I am putting my loop on the black. In my second pair, I'm going to put it on my colored ribbon, meaning here's my doubled up border ribbon. I'm going to put my loop on an opposite ribbon. And this is important if you want the pattern to come out with the borders being the same color. So I'm going to do the same thing, have my foot of ribbon, going to make a slip knot. And then just double check that I can make it bigger, that I can tighten up and make it smaller. And now I have my 2 pairs and 1 slip knot in each. So the first thing I'm going to do as I start to weave is I'm going to make a loop. So I'm just making an arch in my white ribbon, just like that. And I'm going to take this, and with my working ribbon facing me, my longer ribbon, I'm going to tuck it through my slip knot. So I'm pairing up my first pair of colors. So there it is. You can see my white and my black. And then I'm going to tighten this slip knot just to make it snug. So find which ribbon moves and make it snug. Doesn't have to be tight, right? I don't want to pinch my ribbon. I want to just make it sit nicely. So there's my first pair ready to go. So now I'm going to do the same thing with my second, right? Here's my slip knot. I'm going to make my 12 inches here, making my arch here. I'm just going to tuck that through. Again, same thing. I'm looking at the long end of my working ribbon. I'm going to put that through. And I'm going to tighten that slip knot. Just snug enough so that it's as wide as my ribbon. So now I have 2 ribbons paired up and ready to go. Alright, so now this is important. I'm going to hold this up to the camera so that you notice. It's important when you put your 2 pairs together, you are going to have them next to each other and they're not connected, but they're going to be next to each other. And as you can see, one is on top of the other. So here's my one pair. I'm going to place this side on top of this one. This is going to help me hold them together. But this part does get tricky because you want to make sure you don't get your ribbons tangled. Just a quick trick. If you have binder clips at home, you know, like the ones that you have from the office, but don't take them from your office. So you use your binder clip, and what you're going to do is wind your ribbon, and you can just clip it. This way you know you can just unwind it when you need the length. Or if you want to wind it around a card, you can do that too, and then just clip it. I have a lot of table space, so I'm just going to leave it open, but if you really want to organize your ribbons, you can clip the ends, and that way you know which ones you're working with. So I have my ribbons, one on top of the other. And now I'm going to start, double check my working ribbon, right? I want to work with my longer lengths of ribbon. Now, see this one? This is, if you're looking at your ribbon, the one that is on top, right? So it's to the right of this one, but it's on top of my working ribbons. So this black has the red ribbon. I'm going to get my working red ribbon, and I'm going to bring it over and make my first loop and put it through here. Now, this is the hardest part. Ask anybody who learned how to, their very first ribbon lay, holding this part together is the trickiest part. Here's my loop, and now I'm going to find my black ribbon. I'm going to snug that down so that that is in there. This part is very important. You want to work with the pair of ribbons that are connected, but let me start that again just to show you. When I said that the black ribbon was on top, right? It's important that your ribbons look like this. So look at your ribbons, make sure that your pairs are together, that you have them on top of each other like this. I'm going to work with my top pair first, which means my black and red. I'm bringing up my red. So I'm going to do that again, making a loop, tucking it through this loop, and I'm going to pull here to snug that down. Yay, look, you did your first weave. So if I did this pair, I'm now going to do this pair. Tricky, right? Because look, it feels like I'm going to put something in here, but I have to remember, right, this white ribbon is paired with this black ribbon. So I'm always working with the pair. So I'm going to find that working. Be careful, you know, don't grab any old thing that's closest to it. You do want to get something in here, and you're going to use its pair. Now, I pulled through the satin side of this red, so I want to pull the satin side through here. So it's okay for you to flip the ribbon. If you're going to twist it, that's fine. If you want to just make sure you're getting the shiny side up. So I'm not putting that loop through here. I told you this is the trickiest part. And now I'm going to pull on this white ribbon to snug it down. Again, I am going to work with the tension of it, meaning I want to make sure my ribbons are nice and snug, but I'm not bending my ribbons. And this is the trickiest part of your whole lei. After this, it will be a breeze because it's just wanting to make sure this beginning is nice and snug and connected. Phew! Yay, you just did 2. So now I'm looking at this pair, right? Which one is on top? This one. So I'm gonna weave up into this one, right? My black and white pair. I got my working ribbon. I'm putting the white through now. And as soon as I put a loop in, what is the next thing I do? I pull and snug that down. So I'm gonna pull that loop closed. I'm gonna do the same now to my red and black pair. Right, there's a lot going on here, but all I need to remember is these are the 2 that are connected. Here is my working ribbon for that one. I'm gonna make my loop and I'm gonna tuck it through. Right, and again, take your time. I'm gonna look down here. Now, which is the red I pulled to snug it? Okay, there it is. Now I'm gonna share with you a trick that I taught myself, and I'm sure a lot of relay makers do this or notice this. I just put the black loop through and I pulled down my red ribbon. A good thing to remember is the next loop you're going to do, right? Here's my top loop, is always the last ribbon you pulled. So I just pulled this red ribbon to snug it down. That means I can hold on to it. It's the very next one I'm going to use to weave. So I'm going to put that through. I'm going to snug this down. I'm going to do my next loop. Right, and here it comes, right? Here's that memory trick. I'm going to put that through. I'm going to snug it down. This is the last ribbon that I just pulled down to snug it down. It is the first ribbon I'm going to use to weave. So a lot of times, especially if you go a little bit and you might put it down, always remember, right? If I look at it like this, when I'm at going on to my next weave, I want to make sure both of my loops are facing in the same direction, right? So I'm going to work on this one, which just means that, you know, if you do have to stop your lei for any reason, snug that down. Stop it when it's at this step. That way when you pick it up again, you'll know, okay, I'm starting another section of weaving. It gets a little bit confusing sometimes if you just stop any old place. So I'm going to go a little bit more because, again, it's hard to see what's the pattern going to be, right? This doesn't look quite like a ribbon lei yet, but let's go a little bit longer and then you'll see the pattern emerge. Now you can see we've gone a few more inches and that woven pattern is now emerging. Now for some of you who also, you know, again, obviously you're watching this because you did want to learn this. I think there may be some of you looking at it and saying, but you know what, that is not the lei that I saw, or that is not the pattern that I remember on the lei that somebody made for my graduate. But what you'll see is there is this side that is more of a braid, but what you might be remembering is the other side. It is this beautiful woven 2-color side that almost looks like it has squares. This is the opposite side. I think that what's wonderful is you can choose either side to be your front, but it's just going to weave itself out, and you'll get to have both of those in the same lay. And then especially, it shows up especially when you're doing a tri-color version. Now I've opened up the table a little bit. When you get to going, a few inches, you'll see which two ribbons will end up on one side and which two are on the other side. And I'm sure a lot of you have already noticed I started with this pair on my left, this pair on my right, and when it came to working the weave, they actually switched sides. So that's why if you need to use a binder clip to keep your ribbon all together as you work with it, please do. It's a great way to make sure it doesn't get tangled. And it's a great way to make sure you know which two ribbons go on which side. Oh, see, did I confuse myself? I did. So that's good. Again, so now I'm always going to remember that if I'm working with the top, I forgot my own trick. I'm going to use the next loop from the one I just pulled. Now, as you get better with your ribbon lay, again, the beginning part is probably a great part to practice. This one, you can see it is a little bit loose, easy enough. You don't want to pull too tight, but you can very gently tighten the knots at the bottom to make the bottom of the braid a little bit more even. You can do that at the beginning, during, or at the end of your weaving, just so that you have an idea of really how much length you're working with. Now, I have found, since I've gotten much better at making all the styles of this type of woven ribbon lay, that people often say, well, how long will it take? Especially if you're making multiple lay, if you're making it for your child's graduation group or friends, you have more people that you want to give for graduation. I will say that if you prepare all your materials, right, cut your ribbon, figure out what your border color is going to be, what colors you want to weave. Once you've prepared everything and you set up your pairs, that will take a lot of time, but once you do that, truly, I think that you can get through a 3-color woven lay. If you're really just focusing on doing it, you can do it in less than an hour and a half. And I know that still sounds long, but if everything's prepped and you really get your rhythm going, you might be able to do it in an hour. And maybe an easier way to say that is, this is a really great craft that once you get even a little bit comfortable with it, it's nice to have it in your lap. You can watch a volleyball game and start the lay and weave and be done with it almost by the end of the volleyball game. I will say that. Like, say if you get to 3 sets. Well, okay, 4 sets. But it really will not take too long. I do think that a lot of your time should be devoted to making sure you have your materials and prepping all of your ribbon. That really will take a lot of time. And then really starting at the beginning. Sometimes it's a little start and stop, just to remember how the beginning goes, because you have to hold all 4 ribbons together. That is what makes this lay a little more challenging than our simple 2-color, 2-loop beginner ribbon lay. So now you can see, I just wanted to go far enough that you could see the weave, that beautiful border color on both sides, that wonderful pattern that's showing up on the back side. So now let's pretend that we have gone our all the way around. I've thought about my graduate or my giver, the person I'm giving it to, and I have the perfect length. That's usually going to be, maybe like a 40-inch length of finished braid. I know that sounds like a lot, but that is about what you're going to do for an average person's lay, probably a little bit longer. When I'm to my end, I'm going to pretend this is the very end of my lay. I have that length. I'm going to just Make sure these loops are up, that the last of my ribbon has been pulled nice and snug. I'm going to get my scissors. And remember, same thing, I'm going to cut that length, right? I'm going to cut it even a little bit long. You know, 12 to 14 inches on one side. Same thing on the other side. Being very careful not to pull out my loops, right? I'm just going to pull that, cut about the same length on this side. And I'm basically working my last weave. So same thing, right? Here's my black and red pair. It's my top pair. So I'm going to take my red and I'm just going to run it through. I'm not making a loop, I'm just pulling it through. And I'm going to snug this down. And now that's the end of that pair. Yeah, I'm not going to pull it super tight. I'm just going to pull it so that it is together and snug, and I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm just going to pull, oops, helps to go in a loop. I'm going to pull that through and then snug it down, right? Pull the tension down here. And now, again, I'm not going to pull super tight because what that'll do is it'll start to pull my ribbon up and bunch it together. But I am going to gently tighten it so that I have the beginnings and ends of my lei. And here, right, with those lengths, and I'll move to the sample I have here, you have those great lengths that you cut, and this would be where you would simply tie a bow. And if you leave enough length, honestly, you don't need another ribbon to add on here. If you wanted to add an embellishment, yeah, this would be a nice place to maybe put, you know, a bow of the another school color in a wider ribbon. Maybe one of the ribbons that we have at our stores that has your graduate's school on it. But you can see if you have enough length, that's all you need to do is really tie that length and then open up those loops. And you have a wonderful ribbon at the end of your lei. And look at that pattern, right? Remember that that pattern is on one side. Look at that. And you will be doing that. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you need help, remember you can always call us at Ben Franklin Mapunapuna or any of our Ben Franklin craft stores. Bye. Mahalo.